Shimona. What was that? Amanda, what was that meme you posted about the Michael Jackson Egyptian?
Hold on, let me find it because that's exactly what I was thinking of.
What was so funny?
Meanwhile, in Egypt.
Egypt. That's so rad. I love it.
I loved that.
Man, we don't need no song. Guys, welcome to the Real Awkward Podcast.
Welcome.
The best dang podcast you heard
Today.
My name is Andy.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Ashley.
Boom. Ding-a-ding, boom, boom.
I just want to say, Andy, your voice is the song.
Oh, thanks.
Why did you have to make yourself sound like that possum from a Goofy movie?
Hi, guys.
You unlocked a core memory for me right now.
Jeez, Max. Okay. What are we talking about?
Who knows?
Street cred.
Yeah.
Street cred episode. We are 1 minute and 20 seconds in. That means we have the fastest introduction we've ever done. Amanda, What's a street cred about? Let's dance.
Okay, so a street cred is where we pull up somebody's IMDb page. We start it all the way. Wow, let me start over.
That's because Andy jinxed him by being like, fastest intro ever, Amanda, take it away.
Sometimes we're going to shit on some stuff. Sometimes Andy's going to relate it to whether his childhood or something like that. We start from the bottom. Now we hear. We go from the initial bio of their IMDb credits, and you can play a drinking game. If Andy relates it to a video game of any kind or his age, then you get a drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Amanda, so tell him.
Just that.
If this is your first time listening, guys, normally Amanda does that intro and I just messed it up. I just stole it from her.
Yeah, I'm all thrown off right now.
She's like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
I'm like,
I almost dropped my candy again.
You know what's weird?
What?
So Amanda's on camera, right? I can see the sun shining through her blinds, and it threw me because it's dark here.
It's pitch black here. What's happening?
Weirded me out.
What is the sun? Guys, you clicked on it. You know what we're talking about today. This is the legendary director, the brainchild of deep, what's it called? Not psychosis, psychological warfare of your mind. What else would you call it, ladies? What does he do?
Cerebral?
Cerebral assassin.
Often non-linear storytelling.
Yes. Is that part of the bio?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I can't think of things about myself.
I legitimately was impressed with you.
I'm only an elected official.
I can't make decisions by myself.
We are talking about Christopher fucking Nolan.
I named you Christopher because you're Christopher.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's an Englishman, right? And for some reason, all the good ones are.
We'll find out.
Okay. We're going to go through his filmography, which I apologize. I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, so I'm going to fanboy out on this episode a little bit. But I have not seen one movie.
And when you say filmography,
yes,
we're talking about directing credits.
Correct. You're correct. We're not talking about any of his cameos or acting, which I don't think he's done much.
But probably production.
But yes,
writing.
For the most part. And we might dive into some stuff that maybe he was a producer on, but for the most part, directing.
Is anybody else like Andy was like, wow, that intro was so short. Let's jump right into this. And he just
now it's 4 minutes
on
in.
And on introducing what we're doing.
Now it's 4 minutes in. I look over at Amanda and her facial expression hasn't changed for 2 full minutes staring at me.
Okay. Ready?
Yes. Ash, take us away.
Best known for his cerebral, often non-linear storytelling, acclaimed writer-director Christopher Nolan was born on July 30th, 1970 in London, England.
Yay, I knew it. Wait, 70?
Yeah.
Okay. He's actually younger than I thought he was.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Over the course of 15 years of filmmaking, Nolan has gone from low-budget independent films to working on some of the biggest blockbusters ever made. At 7 years old, Nolan began making short movies with his father's Super 8 camera.
Ooh. Cool.
And we'll just leave it there.
Amanda hasn't done it yet. I have to keep doing it.
Well, okay, I was about to do it, and then you did it.
Okay, I'm not going to do it the rest of the episode. I'm going to hear Amanda do
So
it.
Andy, biggest fan of Christopher Nolan, right?
Yes.
How many directing credits do you think he has?
Christopher Nolan has officially done 11 films.
Okay, wrong.
Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not counting short films. This was only theatrical releases. So I apologize if that's...
Okay, wrong.
In that case, still fucking wrong. Idiot.
Okay, his first credit in 1989, Tarantula.
Is that a spider and a dinosaur?
Tarantula. It was 4 minutes long.
Oh, yeah. See, that's short film, yo. That's short film.
Suffering of a young man while he had nightmare about spiders and demons.
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
4 minutes long.
I need to watch some of his short film stuff because I would love to see kind of his origin.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Next, he did another short. It was 8 minutes long called Larceny.
Whoa, he doubled it up, huh? 4 minutes to 8 minutes.
A man who likes to pickpocket people gets chased through the woods by the people he's trying to steal from.
Oh, see, that's so Christopher Nolan.
Right? Then he did a 3-minute short called Doodlebug.
Oh, so then he brings it right back down.
Yeah, sorry. And then he had... His next one was an hour and 9 minutes. So I guess that's not quite feature length, right?
No, technically any film that's 90 minutes or longer is supposed to be feature length, but some movies are shorter than that and are considered feature length films.
Okay, well, this one's called Following.
Okay.
And then his next credit is Memento,
Wait, when was Following?
1998,
And when was
Dang.
Memento?
2000.
Okay, so 2 years right after that. Okay.
So Memento was his first full-length feature film.
And his big
Yeah.
one. His
Whoa.
big one. Dong.
Dong.
I feel like that's how it often is with directors, is like their first really good movie is like...
I mean, we talked
then
about...
they're set, right?
We talked about
Yeah.
this with Ryan Coogler, right? He had done a little bit of stuff, but he did Super 8, the one in Seattle. Wait, not Super 8. What's it called? Chronicle. Sorry, Chronicle. And that one, totally different.
I'm very like, what the fuck are we talking about right now?
Ryan Coogler, he did that, and the film was the one that was like, dude, this guy's the next shit. Like, you have to use him. And I kind of feel like Christopher Nolan's Memento was that, but maybe The Following. I haven't seen it. So maybe that was enough to be like, dude, put this guy behind the camera on a big budget film.
Maybe. I mean, Following has a 7.5.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, I feel like as far as IMDb goes, that's pretty decent.
I'd watch it. And he's full on the director, right?
Full on.
We're not playing games.
Full on the director of what, hun?
Full, like he's not like producer or like
I'm assuming she's looking
like
at his directing credits.
Christopher Nolan presents or nothing like that.
I'm looking at
Full on director.
full on director.
Okay. So let's talk about Memento.
Okay.
Memento
Let's.
is literally one of my favorite films of all time. Guy Pearce and give me the actress's name.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss. What an incredible premise to this movie.
Did you know that it was based on a short story?
No.
Now you do.
So Amanda, you've seen Memento, of course.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Or did you forget?
It's why I have so many tattoos. No, Memento was like, yeah, it was the perfect movie to come out kind of right when it did, right? Because like early 2000s was very much like The Machinist,
All
Fight
of these
Club.
psychological thrillers.
Yes,
Yeah.
all of these movies were coming out where it was like really, you could just take it for what it was on its surface level, but then if you wanted to, you could really look further and find more little Easter eggy stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Memento was a really cool one of like, you're going through the motions and you get to the end and it does like the kind of flashback stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then,
I remember loving those parts of it because it's rewatchable because of it.
100%. I think that it was a very fortunate movie as a director to come out right when it did. Because even though it wasn't like a humongous blockbuster studio release, a lot of movies were coming out that were very similar at that time. So I think
Sure.
it kind of rode that wave. I think that if a movie like that had come out 2010, 2012, I think it might have gone under the radar.
Yeah, it probably would have already, people have been like, oh, just another interesting twist. What is this, M. Night Shyamalan? I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah. But no, Christopher Nolan presented this really well. If I'm not mistaken, the beginning of the movie, Guy Pearce is running, and he's like, I'm chasing this guy. Nope, he's chasing me. And then you realize that his mind is not there. He doesn't really know what's happening. And as it envelops the story, it's really cool. Like how he
Envelops.
I heard it.
Wait, what is it?
Develops.
No.
Unfolds.
Unfolds.
Envelops.
Envelops. Put it in the dictionary.
Somebody got real dumb today. That's me. I'm pointing at me when I sing that song. So here's the deal. Not only is the story incredible, but Christopher Nolan's filmmaking is incredible. So this guy has a way of framing a scene, and not only that, but editing and cutting to make everything suspenseful. Every single thing that he does has this level of heaviness and you can cut, this is weird, but you can cut the reality of the situation with a knife because it's so thick. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if that I don't know how else to describe his filmmaking style other than you're coming into something where you're your brain better be fucking on, man, or you're not going to keep up with his
cerebral
movies. So
Well, and
Yes,
what an interesting movie to come out with right out the gate of your obviously he had done a couple smaller things, right? And he did that hour-long movie or whatever.
Right.
But for your first big probably movie theater release, I find it very interesting that he very much had a style, a signature style from the get-go.
Oh,
'Cause
immediately.
I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know that he didn't have more movies before Memento. Because
Sure. Right.
I didn't necessarily know who Christopher Nolan was from the minute Memento came out, and I was oh, I gotta watch out for this guy.
Yeah, me either.
But I very much was oh, this was cool. And then as you go on later, as he continues to make movies, he very much has a style. And I think it's really interesting that from the get-go, this was very much his style.
Well, and he's diverted from that style for various movies sometimes, but there's always that little touch of Christopher Nolan in it. So I was somebody that was this is my favorite Guy Pearce movie. I used him as the tent pole of choosing the film. And then now when I think about it as Christopher Nolan's movie, not a Guy Pearce movie. So
well, especially for early 2000s, that movie had a couple decent stars in it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it got noticed from the get-go, and I'm glad that it's still one that people talk about because I think it is really, really good.
Definitely my top 5, I would probably say for a long time was my favorite film. So if you're listening, you've never seen Memento from Christopher Nolan starring Guy Pearce and Carrie Ann Moss, go see it. What is next on his list?
Next, he did Insomnia. How do you feel about this movie, Andy?
Sorry, can't stay up. I've never seen
That's
it.
narcolepsy.
Okay, here's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem. You're right. That was the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do I'm up on a podcast. I'm already up.
Okay, well, I've seen Insomnia, so I'm gonna talk about it.
Nobody can see my facial expression there, but it was funny,
No.
Amanda. I was like this.
Hilarious.
Can we
So
please put up a post on our Instagram of my face?
No.
Like this.
I refuse.
Damn it. Okay, Amanda,
Amanda,
go ahead.
what do you think about Insomnia?
Tell us about Insomnia because I feel bad. Christopher Nolan's one of my favorite directors.
I've seen
I haven't
it.
seen it.
okay,
Here, you know how I'm always haven't seen it. I've seen it.
well then you and I'll have to talk about it. No, I thought it was fine. It was not necessarily a slow-paced crime thriller, but it was a slow burner. It had Robin Williams in it, and he plays kind of a bad guy, and I think he plays a really good bad guy or like not. He does a really good job when he's not being a comedic actor.
I always confuse this because he did Photo Booth about the same, or
1 hour photo.
1 hour photo
One
about
hour
the same
photo.
time. And I always thought they were the same movie when I watched the trailers, and then realized one day that it wasn't.
No, so 1 hour photo is a really interesting movie where he plays a really creepy individual. And this was very much during that same time where he was pushing away from being just the comedic relief.
He's like, I can't be the genie forever.
Yeah, and Insomnia, he also plays kind of a dark character, and he does a really, really good job. Hilary Swank is in this. It's essentially like a girl is missing, and it's kind of like a cat and mouse kind of thriller.
Okay.
It's really good. If you're someone who likes kind of crime drama thrillers, I would say it's a good one.
I'm very ashamed because this is like a decade of telling myself I was going to watch Insomnia and never watching it. And I don't know why.
Honestly, I feel like what Insomnia and Memento have in common, aside from being directed by Christopher Nolan, is that the main character, like the story that they're going through, you kind of put yourself in their shoes. Where you're like, what would I do if I was in their place? Like,
sure.
If I had memory issues, or like Insomnia, like he feels like he doesn't know what are delusions or not because he's so sleep deprived. Like, I feel like they're good ones to be like, whoa, like I can imagine what that would be like. Like that's a real thing that could happen.
Well, yeah, he's always been really good at that, is that it's not so far-fetched that you don't relate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, and even Christopher Nolan's movies where obviously the plot is something that's like not plausible, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
like at the end of the day, these core emotions and like things that the characters are going through are real life problems.
Right.
This idea that this like this murderer thing is happening, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm never going to get caught up in that. But I think everyone can identify with the fear of like, I don't know what's real and not real.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
Same thing with Memento, right? Like, yeah, I'm never going to have to be trying to find my wife's murderer, but
but
all of us can identify with the fear of like losing your memory.
Dude, can you I forget in Memento, is it like 30 seconds is all he has?
I don't remember.
Or 2 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, it's very, very short-term memory.
That's crazy.
But like the one I think of a lot is, we're going to get to it later, so I'm not going to jump too far ahead. But like Interstellar, like, the idea that like space travel kind of wormhole thing. Yeah, okay, whatever. Never in my lifetime. But the idea that he misses the whole life of his daughter.
Yeah, right.
Yep. And any parent can understand that. So, I think that like his movies are grounded in the sense of like real people stuff.
Well, he's good at doing the psychological at the same time as pulling heartstrings, which I think is that's a very cool talent to have. I feel like some directors are like, I can get you into this like sci-fi psychological world, but you're like, it's far-fetched and I don't care about the characters. Or you can go way too sappy and be like, this movie, like I was lost on these psychological themes. So like, again, he's very unique in his craft. And after this, it's banger after banger in my eyes.
So after this, he did Cinema 16 British short films.
Okay, that doesn't count.
And then Batman Begins.
Damn.
Yeah. So he does 2 films. He does
and then
Memento. That's
a
not
massive
true.
franchise.
He does Following. He does Insomnia. He does Memento. And then boom. And then, hey, bro, you want to direct fucking Batman? Like where everybody is hating on Joel Schumacher for shit in the bed on 3 and 4. Now, Amanda loves these movies, but it's a guilty pleasure love.
Yes.
It's a guilty pleasure love.
It's a ghost ship kind of love.
Correct.
Where I know they're bad.
Correct.
But I enjoy them.
Joel Schumacher has an acid trip, colorful dance party, bat nipples, ice
Batman
skating.
credit card, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. Bat blades with frickin' it's just, it just went super goof. And
Yeah.
so when Christopher Nolan came in, I don't even know if this was something he wanted to do, if he was asked to direct, or if he was like, I've literally written hundreds of stories and Batman was one of them. And this is how I'd like to tell the Batman story.
Yeah,
But,
I'm curious. I
yeah.
wish I could know if Warner Brothers came to him with the idea of doing like a realistic quote unquote Batman,
Right.
or if he went to them with the idea.
Well, it was just cool. So it's a Batman origin story. Ra's al Ghul is the bad guy. And there's always two villains in a Batman movie. It's kind of been a trope that's been done for a really long time. But and then the Scarecrow and Cillian Murphy, who plays the Scarecrow, the way Christopher Nolan shows the horror that he's able to put through people, the fear, was awesome. I remember like when Batman's face is melting.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Like it's
Yes.
scary. Like there's some really freaky shit in that Batman. But the casting choice. So if he had a choice and he was directing it and he got to truly choose the cast and it wasn't a producer or just a casting agent, but Christian Bale is Batman. Oh my God, I'm forgetting Tom Cruise's old wife. What's her name? Katie
Holmes.
Katie Holmes, right? Katie Holmes as his girlfriend.
It was fine. I
childhood
mean,
friend or whatever.
fine.
She was okay. I actually like
Maggie
Maggie
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal better.
Yeah.
As an actress, I think she's a much better actress than Katie Holmes. But the whole story is incredible. It's a great Batman film, but it tells a great origin story of a guy that wants to redeem his life. And so if you took Batman out of it, it would still be a successful movie, if that makes sense, right? So, but this was not Christopher Nolan. I'm going to do psychological thriller for you.
But really, with Scarecrow,
he got to play with it a little bit.
that's the reason. Like Scarecrow's my favorite Batman villain,
Yeah.
and this movie is why. Like,
because he was such
and
a
when
cool.
I really think about it, like it being Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like that psychological,
Yeah.
like manipulation of your brain, like.
I think he was probably like, okay, listen, there's been 4 Batman films and almost all the characters were used up. Who am I going to use? And so for him to actually choose to go with Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow that were very less known Batman villains and have it be successful is really cool.
But do you think it was that like these have been used, here's what I have to choose from? Or it was like, these are the villains I can do the best?
I think that that's how he writes his stories, is to choose the character that will best fit the story. So I think that honestly, even if they were used before, he would have used them again.
Yeah, absolutely.
To tell a better story. So, but Batman Begins arguably is like the worst of the 3 of the trilogy.
Hard disagree.
Really? Well, yeah, you don't like Dark Knight Rises. That's right.
We'll get there.
But I will say that Christopher Nolan being given, here's a franchise, I need you to bring it from the fucking grave. Like, I need you to resurrect Batman, have it be epic enough that people want to continue to see him. And I know you've only done 3 films, but don't screw this up. Like, talk about freaking nailing it out of the park.
I mean, they essentially
Nailing it out of the park.
God damn
We
it.
call those mixed metaphors.
he
You know
nailed
what?
it
They're
right
not
out of the
They're
park.
not mutually exclusive.
So honestly, I felt it was kind of one of those things where DC or Warner Brothers had nothing to lose.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
basically, the previous Batman movies were laughed out of the theater. Like,
Yeah,
did they
yeah.
make money? Yes. Were
Sure.
they good movies? Absolutely not.
2007?
2005.
2005. Okay.
So I think that, in a way, he couldn't, as long as it didn't end up some Technicolor rave, he couldn't really fuck up.
Well, that's fair. It's just, but
And-
you also had to have good dialogue. You had to
Yes.
have good pacing. Batman had to feel menacing and not like an action figure come to life.
Well, and I think that
Yeah.
it was a smart choice to have bad guys that we hadn't already seen before.
I think so,
So
too. I agree.
because, like you said, he could kind of do whatever he needed with them.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul, instead of being like more of Batman's equal, he kind of almost made him like a father figure for
Sure.
Batman.
Sure.
And with the Scarecrow, he was outsmarting him.
Correct.
And so,
Yeah,
I think that was a really smart way to do that. Instead of having Batman easily beat them, like the previous movies, right? It was like you knew Batman was going to kick their asses.
Right.
You just had to wait for it. Where this one, there were moments where you were like, I don't know if he's going to win.
Yeah.
And and as we continue on further, you see times where he doesn't win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But especially in the first movie, like you see Batman, you see him lose fights, and I think that was something we hadn't seen a lot of.
Yeah, you're right though, because it's trials and tribulations, not just Batman's invincible go.
And here he is on another adventure.
I've talked about this before, but I feel like the Scarecrow should be Batman's main villain. Now, hear me out, because everybody loves the Joker. They love him for a lot of different reasons, but Batman does not portray order. That's not his. I don't know what to call it. That's not what his justice is supposed to be for.
He's like prime directive.
Yeah, he's not trying to maintain order, and Joker is trying to cause chaos. That's all his character is. So there's never been kind of a juxtaposition to the Joker. Batman fits the role in storytelling anytime they need to find it convenient. But Batman is supposed to be the person that has no fear. Mm-hmm. Like, that's supposed to be Batman, is that I was fearful as a child. I will never have anybody else be fearful again, and I will fight for those that are afraid. Scarecrow is all about inflicting fear. And I always thought that should have went that way in the comics, that Scarecrow was always the main villain. And so I made this movie kind of scratch that itch for me. I was very happy that they gave him some points to freak Batman out. Because aside from the bats in the cave, Batman shows no more fear, and then he gets freaked out by Scarecrow. So anyway, I'm just saying that I feel like Christopher Nolan did it right. And this is only Batman 1 for him. Batman Begins.
You know why I think that Scarecrow was never like a more like marketable, like he was never a more popular villain, was I think the Joker just had a cooler character design.
100%. Yep.
And I think that
I agree.
I think that Joker versus Batman is more marketable for toys and pictures and stuff like that.
Sure.
Where if you're like writing it all down, the Scarecrow makes more sense.
I think that juxtaposition is literally like Joker is the opposite of Batman, right? Like Batman is dark and brooding, and Joker is just like bright and colorful
and flamboyant,
chaos,
right?
And I think you could argue also that like Bruce Wayne probably has control issues after losing his parents, right?
Sure.
So like
I can see that.
even though you say that's not his main objective, like he still wants order. He wants to like create that control.
Yeah.
And Joker's just like, I don't care.
I can agree. No, I can agree with
I don't
you.
care what you want.
I can agree with you that facets of Batman, and we actually talked about this in our Batman 101. I went through every single villain and why they were Batman's villains. So if you guys get a chance to listen to that episode, it's a really good episode about how they created each character. So
I'm going to listen to it because I don't remember it. It was so long ago.
So there was things like Poison Ivy, right? He's the flamboyant playboy, so they had to make a sexual vixen.
Yeah.
And so each facet of his personality has something that makes the villains pop out.
You have a Mike and Ike in your pants.
Okay,
just that little tack? just that little guy? I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
It's like real life. So for those who don't understand what's funny,
Mike and Ike in your pants.
Andy had a whole box of Mike and Ike's and then spilled them all over right before we started recording, and apparently didn't find them all.
No, literally, dude. You guys want to bring a guy down a couple pegs? Just look at him and be like, "You got a Mike and Ike in your pants." Like,
what is that? A Mike and Ike?
Best insults ever.
Oh man.
I feel like the best insult would be like, "Oh, it's so cute."
Tic Tac.
I also just have to say, Michael Caine is Alfred.
Oh,
that's it.
I think it's hard to recast him. Now, to be honest, Mr. Pennyworth in Tim Burton's Batman's, I always love that actor, and I forget his name, but I thought he made a good old man butler Alfred.
I think that actor played Alfred through the Schumacher ones too.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think it was all four. I think it's the only character that stayed.
He was a really good Alfred.
Yeah,
like he was a very good Alfred.
But you're right.
Michael Caine was a great Alfred as well.
He brought something else to it. He just brought something different.
Yeah.
It's just the voice and the demeanor. Like, yeah.
And then, I mean, even Morgan Freeman was great. I mean...
Oh, dude, as Lucius Fox? Absolutely.
Yep. The acting was great.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, come on, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Amazing.
No, his mustache is epic.
Oh,
his
mustache beautiful.
is epic.
It's beautiful.
Okay, Christopher Nolan, you've got us so far with 3 films. Let's keep going.
The Prestige.
Dong. I don't know. This was one
of the... Is that Christopher Nolan for a banger?
Hey, listen. This is what... Yeah. This is a banger in my eyes. Amanda, you have to tell me. Hopefully you think it's a banger as well. But I'm just going to say...
Playing.
Okay,
no,
listen.
It's amazing.
This was Christopher Nolan's chance to be like, I'm going to M. Night Shyamalan you. And I think this was the first time that really... All the other ones were like psychologically, like, I'm with it. It's kind of this character has a weird thing going on with him. This one's like, I don't really know what's happening right now. Like,
no.
I legitimately love what I'm seeing, but I don't know what's happening right now.
That was one where it was like, so The Prestige, it's funny. This is going to be like the Christian Bale / Christopher Nolan episode because we do have a full street cred on Christian Bale. So if you haven't listened to that one, really go check that one out. That's a really good one. This movie was one where I watched it and I immediately watched it again because it was like the whole movie, they aren't telling you. So it's essentially The Prestige is 2 rival magicians and each magician can't figure out how the other one is doing his famous trick.
Right.
And basically, they're each trying to figure out the other's secrets, but you're trying to figure out both of the secrets.
Yeah, you're trying to find out how this happens, how this works.
And he's only Christopher Nolan as a director is only giving you little bits at a time. And so then by the time you get to the end of the movie, you think you're like, I got it. And then the movie is basically like, here's what's happening. And it lays it all out for you. And I can tell you, I was like, oh, I had no idea. Like,
And this movie does a great job because it sets it up small. Because first you learn about the birds.
Yes.
And then you learn more and more about how things work with these amazing vanishing, disappearing, reappearing acts. But the story really, really gets good in the rivalry between the two. That's what makes the film the best. It goes back to what Amanda said early on. It's not about these amazing feats that Christopher Nolan portrays and the visuals and the psychological twists, but the characters themselves going through this torment of trying to be the best magicians and the sacrifices that they're making makes the movie incredible. Now, so far, we haven't spoiled any of these films. Normally, we are a spoiler podcast, but I think in a Christopher Nolan movie, you need to have this reveal yourself if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I won't blow the reveal, but you know what's funny is if you had told me, like, hey, what's gonna be like one of the movies that like you're gonna watch a ton in like your 20s?
Yeah, right.
I would not tell you a movie with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. I mean, they're magicians. Like
that's literally what I was gonna say. Is like imagine how poorly this movie could have gone if it was like, okay, imagine this: 2 magicians,
right?
Don't know how the other one operates. Who's gonna win? Like,
what's gonna happen?
It sounds awful and hokey.
Whose magic is the best magic?
And we're gonna throw Nikola Tesla in there, and you're like, oh,
and
God,
and surprise, it's David Bowie.
I was impressed with the set design, the character design. I was impressed with the dialogue, the way that was written. I don't necessarily think, wow, how to
necessarily
think that Scarlett Johansson is the best, but she does play a decent role in that one as well. And there's a actress named something Bell. Am I wrong?
Lake Bell?
Wow.
No, not Lake Bell.
It says loading, taking longer than usual.
Dang it.
Sorry, I'm trying.
She plays Christian. No. Dang it. I think she plays Christian Bale's wife. and I forget her name. Amanda, do you know who I'm talking about? It's the first time that I had seen her in a movie, and I thought that she was great.
I don't know who played his wife.
Dang it. Okay. All right. I keep wanting to say Bell or Hill. Maria Bell. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Rebecca Hall.
Thank you. Jeez, I'm way off.
Yeah.
Rebecca Hall, but I ended up thinking that that her performance was awesome. I thought she did a great job, and she's not even in it that much, too. So, Christopher Nolan, freaking banger, 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 banger. Now what?
The Dark Knight.
I mean,
I'll be honest. After this movie,
Yeah.
I forgot that Batman Begins even happened.
Because it was so good?
Yeah.
Because The
it
Dark
makes me
Knight was
feel-
like, what?
Well, I mean, it's rare, right, that a sequel is like that good.
Sure.
So in my head, I'm like, this was a great movie. It was the first one. Like,
Do you so let's talk about this movie, because this has to be opened up. We talk about Dark Knight a lot of world talks about it a lot, but is the movie popular because Heath Ledger died, or is the movie popular because the Joker performance was so epic?
I don't think we'll ever
Both.
know.
Right? I think Ash is right. And
Yeah.
Amanda's right. But I think you're right. We will never know, if he didn't pass away, if he still would have been
As revered. Yeah.
well, and I think
for
it's
the
one of those
role.
things where Heath Ledger did a really good job of portraying just chaotic evil. I mean, like
Incredible.
nothing else. And so for that, you're like, damn, like this guy went there. And then you find out not too long after the movie was released, because did he even live for the movie to be released?
I don't think so.
No, he had
died
passed
before it
away
was released.
before it was released, but was able
So-
to get like 2 more movies in or something like
Yeah,
that.
so you find out that like the reason he died was kind of like because of the depths he took his brain to
Yeah.
becoming
I
the
think
Joker.
I think that caused people to look deeper into his character.
Yes.
Sure.
And the role he was playing, because they're like, what is it about this role and this character that made him go to the edge? Like,
Yeah.
what was it? And
I
so
will-
you're thinking, like, you're putting yourself in the brain of the Joker, right?
Yeah.
Being like,
Right.
what is it that's making you go crazy?
Well, and I mean, even the scenes in there, right? Like the Joker puts a gun to his head and he's like, let's just play. Like, let's just have some fun. Throw some chaos in it.
Right. And you're
like,
then seeing a deeper meaning to it because you know what happened.
but I do wonder, Heath Ledger, was he doing method acting for this role? Did they talk about that?
I think
Was he
in
trying
a way,
to stay in that?
I think in a way he was.
Okay,
And
okay.
I think that the way he acts in this movie, I think you have to. Like
Sure.
yeah.
the way that in my opinion, he's not Heath Ledger playing a character. Like
No,
he
was the Joker.
was the Joker.
Oh, it was crazy.
And-
But this was a Joker we had never seen before.
Yes.
Ever. We had seen Hokey Joke, right? We had seen
Caesar Milan painted over
yeah.
mustache Joker.
Yes. You know, Jack Nicholson's was good because of the iconic face, but overall his acting wasn't that great. You know what I'm saying?
Well-
Like it wasn't. That's not true. I have to take that back. His acting in that one was very well done. But there wasn't this tortured soul out of that movie.
No, he very
Yeah,
much
right.
was playing Jack Nicholson,
Right.
playing the Joker. And
Yeah,
but
right.
it was also, there was still a little tongue in cheek happening.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was like dark and gothic, but it wasn't heavy.
It didn't take itself as seriously. You're right.
No,
Never
the
dance
dark
with the devil in the pale moonlight.
the Dark Knight movie was heavy feeling.
Yeah,
like
it really was. Yeah.
I will say that I think he got great performances out of all the actors. I mean, Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face, I really do not love his character design, but
Interesting, because I thought it was incredible
I'm with Amanda.
because you can't go to Tommy Lee Jones and have him be a goofy monster on one side of his face.
no, I think I would probably go more like the Arkham video games where
Sure,
it's
yeah.
kind of both.
Yeah, I can see that. Where it's more like his face was melted, not just charred.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Aaron Eckhart's
Not
character,
just gone.
yes,
Yeah, right.
and like you could see through his cheek and stuff. It just
Yeah. I
didn't
hated
work
it.
for me.
Like the
Did not work for
eyeball.
me.
No.
Yeah. But I will say that his performance was great.
Yeah.
Like
I think that put him on the map.
Aaron Eckhart.
I don't think people knew who he was before that.
So do you think that's Christopher Nolan's directing, being like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna bring you to the brink on this character"? I don't know.
I don't know because I think that
or he just happened to be in the right movie.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that he gets Christopher Nolan. There's a way that he's able to get just these really powerful performances out of his actors. Like, and we'll see this going forward. He's able. I don't know how he does it because like I've never read up on how he is like with the actors as a director. If he
how his coaching style is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the way he's able to get people to deliver is wild.
I will tell you, his editing and his cinematography is what helps that.
Sure.
I think that he just knows how to frame. He knows he's writing the dialogue, I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming Christopher Nolan writes these movies. So maybe as an actor, your like crown jewel is to read a script and be like, oh my God, I love this character. I love how they portray their lines, how they set things up, how they relate to other characters. And maybe that's just it. Christopher Nolan's just a great writer, not just a director, but a great writer of dialogue and character development.
I mean, I really feel though, like with Heath Ledger's Joker, it was like the micro expressions,
everything,
like the mannerisms, the like just the like the way he'd move his mouth when he wasn't talking.
Oh
like,
yeah,
just all those little
the
things.
licks,
That's
licks
what
and
got
the
it
ticks.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, then, again, like, you know, it's so funny to have a character that I can't stand the character design with Two-Face, but
Yeah.
I loved the character design with the Joker because it was smushed on face paint.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Like,
Yep.
you know, it had like settled in the creases of his face
Mm-hmm.
and it was just messy and chaotic.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what it would have been.
Well, and I thought that they did a really good job on the Joaquin Phoenix Joker of kind of having like the makeup gets smeared as you get more chaotic, and we got to see the end of the Joker's run in this movie. It's like Joker had been doing some shit for a long time in this Batman world, right? Because I'm pretty sure at the end of Batman Begins, he gives them a Joker card and says, "This is who you guys need to look at next." But you're right, Amanda. The whole makeup was done so good. The lighting effects in this movie make him look so ominous and creepy and freaky. There's scenes though where like he's still being lighthearted Joker and then kills a guy with a pencil. Like there's like these strange, like quick turns from his character, and it makes him so likable as a bad guy.
Well, he's like the epitome of unorganized chaos.
Yes, you're right. You're right. It's epic. No,
Well,
it's incredible.
And again, everyone can identify with the idea.
Don't worry, I've said a lot of stupid shit this podcast.
Asterisks.
Don't worry about it.
Disorganized.
I think that everyone can identify with the idea of wanting to just do whatever you want with no without caring about the consequences.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's what the Joker is. He just does whatever he wants, regardless of what happens.
So the scene where he's at the hospital and he blows it up. So it never went off. It was supposed to go off right when he first clicks it, but then Heath Ledger just like hits it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like hits the
just like naturally.
Yeah. And then it blows off at the wrong time and he freaks out. All like Christopher Nolan kept that stuff in the film. I will say I have a couple gripes about this movie. I love Christopher Nolan. There was no closure to the Joker. He gets caught on a zip line. You hear some dogs coming at him, and then you never see him again.
There probably wasn't intended to be.
I do wonder, though, if it was supposed to be open-ended or if Heath Ledger was supposed to film more scenes and passed away. I don't know.
I can only imagine that The Dark Knight Rises was going to be another story about them.
It could have been. I could see that. But I don't.
Give him some grace.
Yeah.
Like, his star actor died. Give him some grace.
Well, I don't know if that's the case, though. I'm trying. I
But
don't
that's
know.
what I'm saying.
Because Christopher Nolan's really good about, like, he's really good about, like, questioning, is that the end? Right? On some of his movies. So
Well,
it
and
could have been intentional. I don't know.
I think it's also hard because, you know, Batman and the Joker, it doesn't matter if the Joker gets caught. He gets out again.
Right.
And
Sure,
those
sure.
two are constantly back and forth.
Yep.
So I think whether he got caught or not wouldn't matter.
Well, and he says that line, right? We're destined to do this forever, I think.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the
Yeah.
movie. So it's kind of like, yeah, maybe he just left it open. And really the story was about Aaron Eckhart. Joker is not the catalyst in that movie at all. The story is literally about Two-Face dating his ex-girlfriend the entire time and having him be, what does he say? The hero that they need? No, the hero they deserve or not need or something like that. I forget how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, disorganized chaos can't be the catalyst because you're
Yeah.
not pushing forward like an agenda.
Correct.
There's no agenda. He's
Correct.
just led.
And Joker never has an agenda. He just
Exactly.
wants to do stuff.
I have to say this. I know you said like Christopher Nolan leaves stuff like leaves you wondering. This is the first series he's done. He's never had a sequel.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
This was the first time it was like an ongoing character arc.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, in the first one, you learned about Batman. In this one, it's like the meat between the sandwich. Like, this
Yeah.
is what Batman does on a daily basis and who has to deal with. And if I'm not mistaken, it opens up and Scarecrow is now like a street level baddie. Like, he's like stuck in a van or something like that.
yeah.
And like some guys in hockey masks or something like that come to
Yeah.
try to beat people up. But it was that, and I wish that Two-Face was in it longer. Those are my two gripes. Sorry, I went back. I feel like he held it for a long time, and I wish that I could have seen a little bit more Two-Face, because Two-Face as a character is just a crime boss. He's like a penguin. You know, so it would have been nice, but maybe Christopher Nolan was like, well, I don't want to really do that. So I'll just keep it to the end and just make it an epic finale that he gets burnt on half of his face. Burnt. So, yeah, but when, right? If you haven't seen it, I feel like everyone's seen it. To be honest, at this point, we're probably rehashing things that
If you
everybody's
haven't
talked
seen
about.
The Dark Knight, what the hell's wrong with you?
What is
You
wrong
don't need to
with
now.
you?
We just told you all the good parts.
Banger.
Next,
I
we
would
did
still watch it.
Inception. Dream
Inception?
Dream.
Inception is the movie. Okay.
It is so bonk the movie.
So I think this is the third time we've talked about Inception.
Yeah,
it?
so we
Oh,
don't
okay.
have to go into it, but I do think though.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
I could talk about it
Leonardo
again.
DiCaprio,
I fucking love that movie.
JGL.
Amanda, is this not his longest film that he's done?
Oh, I genuinely thought it was The Dark Knight.
What?
So,
Oh, you thought The Dark Knight was the longest film that he's done?
It's very
Oh.
long.
do you want
Oh.
words?
Yeah.
Inception's 2 hours 28 minutes.
Yeah.
Dark Knight's 2 hours 32 minutes.
Oh, you're right, Amanda, by 2 minutes.
But the,
4 minutes.
there's a longer one.
Oh, Tenet.
No.
Oh, because Tenet was really long too.
Nope.
So,
I
okay.
think I know which one it is. Don't tell me. I'm going to
Oh,
guess when we
God,
get
Dunkirk?
there.
That's too long. Okay.
I don't think
so-
it's that.
That was the shortest one.
Oh, okay. So, Amanda, I'm going to say this about Inception, okay? Did you understand it after the first run through, or did you have to watch it again?
Okay, here's what I'll say about Inception.
Mm-hmm.
Banger. So I think Inception's a really cool movie because it's very much you get to decide. You get to decide if it was real or not.
Right.
Like,
sure.
and I think he has talked about it like after the fact, but like it is one of those things where the movie ends and it gives you just enough of a question mark at the end where it's like, is it real or is it still a dream? And
Now, this is assuming everybody knows, okay? Some people that listen to this podcast, maybe they haven't seen Inception, but essentially Inception is about dream hackers. They're people that can go into your dream. They can plant a memory or a seed in there to make you give up
to
sensitive
influence.
information or, something like that. And so they are essentially this team that in the beginning of the movie, you get to see them hijack somebody's dream, which was really cool. Just that initial setup. And you realize, if I'm not mistaken, they're a dream within a dream in the very first dream that they're working on.
I think the very first time you even see them, they're like 2 or 3 levels deep.
Yeah, I think it's 2 levels deep because and this is where I got confused in Inception. So there's an architect who essentially creates the dream around them. There is a sound man, essentially, that's supposed to trigger music to wake everybody up at the same time. There is a chameleon, right, that they bring on later.
Who can like change, shape shift and
he's
stuff.
supposed to shape shift. And then you have the person that actually plants the memory, who's Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Like, he's the one that's supposed to do the actual inception. So I think from a writing standpoint, my mind would have freaking been lost trying to think about dream within a dream within a dream, and then have all the characters connect and realize what happens if you go too far down the rabbit hole. So this is where I think Christopher Nolan's an absolute genius. Writing something like this has to have so much intelligence. Think about it. Like, think about being able to keep all the connected events all at once and not have any mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, insane. Because right now, there might be some people that are like, whoa, there's some plot holes, but it's pretty sound. Like, the movie itself is pretty sound.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, there's some things that maybe don't get fully closed.
Sure.
You know, but like the way that he was really able to like button up all this stuff along the way when you have so much happening at once. Sometimes like the idea of Inception like is overwhelming because like this whole idea is that you're 5 levels into this dream and it was wild because you're seeing 4 stories happening at once.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, for him, it goes to show how he is as a storyteller, that you're still able to keep it all together.
I mean, as a general audience member, I think that movie would be difficult to follow, though.
Yeah.
Because there's also a time dilation to it as well, right? Because it's like 5 minutes in a dream is 5 days, and then in the next one is 5 years and whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you get down to, what does he call it? Purgatory or something like that?
I don't remember.
Anyway, you basically get stuck in a dream forever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just crazy.
Realm.
The quantum realm.
Yes.
But then at the same time, he introduced actors like Mauve. Is that her name? Mauve? Maeve? Yeah, what's the actress's name? Christopher Nolan has a Tim Burton issue.
Well, he works a lot with Cillian Murphy.
The same actors that he likes.
Mal?
Maybe it's Mal. What's her name?
Marion Cotillard.
Yeah. So Christopher Nolan, when he works with someone and decides he likes them, they are now one of his go-tos in casting.
Well, yeah, because he's got Ken Watanabe, who was Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, right.
And he's got Cillian Murphy.
Mr. Sato.
They were both in it.
Wait a minute.
He's
Ken
the
Watanabe.
He's the Ra's al Ghul that is like pretending to be Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I was literally like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's not Liam Neeson.
And then
You're
Tom
right.
Hardy is in it.
And then he decided he really liked Tom Hardy. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, and he's worked with Michael Caine multiple times.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I remember Tim Burton did the same thing. Didn't he work with Helena Bonham Carter like 17 times?
Well, yeah.
And Johnny Depp.
And Johnny Depp, yeah. So back to Christopher Nolan, Inception. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. I think it is well written, well directed. The visuals are insane. They are insane in this movie. It might be some of his best work when it comes to that stuff. When they're actually bending reality at the first time. Ellen Page, if I'm not mistaken, is like, she's a rookie in this one.
Yes.
In this one. And I know that's her dead name. Now she's Elliot Page. So at this point, though, it was a very, very interesting take. And I think Christopher Nolan was like, if I did that, I mean, there's no way I would ever do this. But this is like so ambitious that I feel like a lot of studios were like, no. We can't do this.
I think that there's no way he would have been able to do this before Batman.
Yeah, he had to get the clout.
Literally, like coming off of Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight. Yeah. I'm sure the studio was like, what do you want to do? Whatever. I don't care. Like,
right, yeah. Here's the money. Bring us more money.
well, because I mean, just the scenes alone where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is fighting with those guys in the hotel room and
in the hallway.
It's spinning. Like,
yeah.
And they physically built that whole thing, and so the actual set is spinning. That's bananas.
Isn't that crazy?
That's bonkers to me. That the studio would be like, yeah.
Oh, you
build
need an entire set that spins on axis.
It's bonkers to me that the actors were like, sure, I'll do a complete fight scene while the room is spinning on an axis.
It is epic. I almost forgot Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in that because there's so many epic scenes in that movie. I'm sorry.
Rude.
I'm sorry. By the way, watch our Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or listen to our Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, watch it.
Inception came out in 2010, and we were working at Blockbuster at the time. And this is the epitome of a movie where, like, when people came back and they were like, "I didn't like it," we're like,
"You didn't understand it.
You didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Watch it again.
You're right.
You didn't pay attention."
Yeah.
It's like The Matrix. That happened to a lot of people with The Matrix. They were like, "I don't know what's going on."
We're like, rent it again. You don't get this new movie. Watch it again.
So wait, can he even do another banger?
I don't know. He did The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, I thought that's a great movie, but I want to hear what Amanda has to say because I saw her like cringe a little bit.
I don't love it. Okay. I think that.
What did you have for
I was
breakfast?
going to say there's too many good things.
How does that coincide with your New Year's resolutions? I think that there are some parts of the movie I really like.
Okay.
And I think that there are some parts of the movie that I think are really stupid. I like that, once again, they had Cillian Murphy come back as the Scarecrow. I liked that Batman loses. I think that Batman needed to lose.
Well, and in the comics, Bane's the only person to break Batman's back. So
yes,
that makes sense.
I thought physically Tom Hardy as Bane was okay.
I think it was an interesting casting choice. Tom Hardy's not a big guy.
No, he's
So
not
that
a
was-
tall guy.
Yeah.
Or a traditionally bulky guy.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
to see them try to make him look tall was weird.
Yeah.
I hated his voice. I thought it was so stupid.
That's the
cartoon.
one thing people
Yeah.
probably critique the most is that
It
the
was-
voice needed to be toned down just a little bit. Now, if you guys notice this, Christian Bale's Batman voice from the first one to the third one changes drastically.
Yeah.
So in the first one, he's very like,
He's like,
Where are the drugs going?
yeah, and then in the other ones, he's a little bit more just like whispery and less like,
Yep.
you know, he's more
Screaming.
like, I know what you're talking about. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this movie itself had a lot of cool things to it. I always knew as a kid Bane as like a dumb jock. And so this was interesting because I didn't read the comics enough to know that he was supposed to be an intelligent like strategist. So this was unique as a character.
Well, Bane was frustrating because Bane not only is Hispanic,
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
a huge part of his personality, I guess I would say in some of the comics, is his heritage.
Yeah.
And so
sure.
that was a little disappointing to see that
he's,
loss.
He's supposed to have a background like with like luchador wrestling, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
right,
and
right.
even though it's a little corny, it
Sure.
makes sense for his character.
Sure.
And so I can understand maybe wanting to lose some of that for the movie, but cuz like that might have come off hokey.
Yeah, sure.
But
Sure.
I don't know. And you know, he gets injected with what, like the venom essentially, whatever it is.
But it doesn't, it's not the same as you remember it from the cartoons and the comics though.
No.
Like, it felt really like it was an important piece of the story, which it should have been.
Yes.
But,
and
you know,
and so
yeah.
you know, I am not an Anne Hathaway fan at all.
Oh,
But
yeah, right.
her as Catwoman was not believable in the slightest bit for me.
I agree.
I
Yep.
think that Marion Cotillard, however you say her last name, as Talia al Ghul,
Yep.
I thought she did a good job, but I would sooner believe her as Catwoman.
Well, I just don't think that they needed to throw 3 villains in there.
I agree.
Because, I mean, I know Catwoman is supposed to be an anti-hero and a love interest, so that's why things are supposed to be there. But it's like, no, dude, like, keep the 2 villain thing going. But I don't think you needed another
Extra piece.
No, I don't think you needed another Ra's al Ghul family member. I think he could have gone with a different villain from the repertoire and enjoyed it. I honestly think he should have done like Bane and Riddler or something like that. Something fun where you could have had like more of either the lighthearted, or he could have went with like Calendar Man or Zaz or something different in Bane's place. It didn't have to be Bane. It could have been somebody else.
I think that Bane wasn't a bad choice.
Yeah.
But it just felt, the whole story felt very bulky. I thought that the idea of them kind of like the bad guys taking over Gotham, that in a way worked for me. Sorta. I don't know. The whole thing as a whole, I was just kind of like, eh.
Well, it's kind of sad. Do you think Christopher Nolan was like, I have to do a trilogy. I don't know how to wrap this up. Let's just like have Batman fly off into the sunset and I'll just throw some people in there. Because that seems not like him. It seems like he would put way more effort into his storytelling. So
part of me wonders if there was a story written and then Heath Ledger died and he had to start from scratch.
Yeah, or Warner Brothers was trying to throw their face in it, and they were like, hey, we really need Bane in here. We really want to market toys
or
for
they
Bane
want Catwoman.
Or Catwoman, right? Yeah.
I think that if they wanted to have Anne Hathaway, like whatever, I think they could have just had her as like a mysterious woman. Mm-hmm. And maybe like alluded to the fact that she might be Catwoman and just left it at that.
Sure.
I think that would have been more interesting instead of having that whole subplot.
I think when we first started, I said I like this movie. I'm going to go back after talking about it and saying that, yes, this might be Christopher Nolan's weakest performance thus far. When it really comes to where he came from with the Batman series and the amazing films that he had done, like Inception, like Memento, this seems strange. This seems like there was another hand at play. It really does.
There might have been.
I do wonder if Amanda's right that like Heath Ledger's death completely changed
where he wanted the stories to go.
Movie. Yeah. I also wonder, Andy, you mentioned that like the voice of Batman changed. Do you think that was strategic? Because in Dark Knight Rises is where like Batman loses and he's starting to become like a little bit weaker.
Oh, well, he's supposed to be in his late 50s, if I'm not mistaken, in this movie. They grade up him, and he's walking with a cane. Like, he's literally hurt.
Yeah, he's like old man Batman.
Uh-huh,
maybe that was intentional.
Sure.
That, like, he's not that strong.
He's not the aggressive anymore. Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
Just becoming complacent.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, again, Christopher Nolan always goes character-driven first, and I think Amanda made this point. If you take every single character piece by piece, none of them are really likable in this movie. Mm-mm. So like, or do you care about what happens to them in this movie? And then he shoehorns in, which is weird for Christopher Nolan to do. He needed that twist. He shoehorns in the Robin thing.
That's exactly what I was about to talk about.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. The only character you even sort of slightly cared about was this cop, and you're like, oh, okay, he's a good guy. And then, why don't you go by your name, Robin? And you're like, oh, got it. I hate you.
What? Like, now, if they would have actually done another trilogy with a Nightwing series and made that happen with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I would have watched it 100%. But I just feel like this kind of, it hit people weird. And he was kind of screwed no matter what, right? How do you come after the Dark Knight? Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Sure. How do you follow that up?
As successful,
right?
For sure.
Yeah. So I think that's a good way to say, like, let's give him one. You know what I mean? Like, let's give Christopher Nolan one. Like, he can have one, like, mediocre, right?
It's still got an 8.4. I'm just saying.
Still got an 8.4.
I was gonna say the movie was still probably incredibly successful. Like, it still did great. It's just my least favorite of the three.
Also, his longest movie yet. 2 hours and 44 minutes.
It was Rises.
But not the longest.
Oh, geez. Okay. Damn.
Okay.
This one is
Nolan. Damn.
Interstellar.
Is this the longest?
Longest movie.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It makes
2 hours and 49 minutes.
It makes sense because what they're dealing with. Like, they're literally dealing with space and time.
Right. Like, there's long stretches in this movie where it's just like silence.
Yeah.
Oh, he
And
wanted
just,
it to be really eerie because
It
the
is.
dead of space is lonely and freaky and scary. And I think that he did a really good job on this. I will say, when I found out that it was Matthew McConaughey being casted, I was a little scared.
I don't like Matthew McConaughey at all.
Yeah.
So
Do you like him in this movie?
I loved this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was really good, and I think it's probably because he's not playing this like cheeky, heartthrobby guy.
Well.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Get out of here.
Is that his catchphrase?
No, it's not. What is it?
All right.
All right. Yeah, sorry.
Well.
Well. I'll drive a Lincoln.
That's you. That's Matthew McConaughey.
That's his brother, Marvin McConaughey.
Marvin.
Okay. I'm going to say this about this movie, okay?
Okay.
I'm a big nerd when it comes to the wormhole and the space-time continuums and like all of that type of stuff. So I was already a sucker going into this movie, regardless whether it was Matthew McConaughey. This was the only Christopher Nolan movie I cried in. This was the only one where when he knew, this is very much Armageddon style, where he knows he has to do a sacrifice and he's going to do it. He goes to the outer rim of this black hole and literally loses his entire life with his daughter, right? Or close to it. Like he goes to see her when she's on her deathbed or something like that at the end, if I'm not mistaken. So I will say that was incredibly well told. It was an awesome story. I want to rewatch it though, because I feel like I'm missing elements that are in it aside from that main plot. And I can't really remember anything else from that film. Do you guys remember anything else that's going on in that?
Not
Why is
particularly.
he going on this trip in the first place? Do you remember?
I
Or is it an
genuinely-
accident that they run into a black hole? Is it an accident?
They're trying to ensure humanity's survival.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen this movie once.
Because it was so long.
It was honestly part of it is I won't watch it again.
Sure.
Him essentially missing his whole child's life is a big old bummer.
It is a bummer. Yeah.
The movie's very well done. I just have no interest in watching it again.
It's not rewatchable like Prestige or
No,
or
for me
Inception,
there is no I'm gonna watch a movie again because it was interesting or enjoyable or I missed something. I want to catch it again. I don't feel the need to do that again with this movie.
Sure.
That being said, there are things about the movie I think are really cool. I think the graphics are incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And me as just like a movie details nerd, I think it's really cool that it was cheaper for them to actually plant the corn that is like the huge field that they live
right.
on.
Right.
It was cheaper for them to plant and grow the corn. And so they actually made the field real. And then they harvested it all, sold it all. So before the movie was even out, it had already turned a profit.
That's so rad. I love it.
So I think that's really cool.
That's a big production, though. Like that's that's bigger than Batman production. Like that's wild. That's wild.
I think that this movie was well received, but I think it probably got lost on some people because a year prior, Gravity came out.
I was about to
with
say
Sandra
that
Bullock.
it felt similar, even though it's not. It's not the same one.
Yeah, but a lot of like floating through space kind of thing.
Right.
Totally different synopsis.
Yeah.
But I think if people didn't watch Interstellar, it's because they already watched Gravity and they're like, what? The same.
They're like another space movie. Ugh.
I think that's fair.
I just saw The Martian as well. I don't know when that was.
That
but-
was way later.
Oh, okay. I will say out of all the Christopher Nolan movies, I don't put this one as high, but still a banger of a movie. It's just long.
It made you cry, bro.
It made me cry. It did make me cry. You're right.
If there was still intense, like there was intensity, like you said in the silence,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty incredible.
It's awesome.
So after that, he did an 8-minute called Quay or Key. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Okay. Q-U-I?
Q-U-A-Y.
Oh, Q-U-A-Y. Okay.
And then he did Dunkirk.
This is my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but only because he is doing a historical film. So, and it's not that I have anything against historical especially war films. But this one was a story told in 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month. And each character or each story, you get to go back and forth between them the entire time. It's essentially the British saving, I think, the British civilians saving the soldiers of Dunkirk. I think that's the main story, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it's basically World
Right.
War II, and the Germans are surrounding like a bunch of different soldiers, and like it's essentially there's no way they can get out.
Right.
And it's essentially a suicide mission, but these good Samaritans essentially agree to just help them.
Right.
And I've seen it one time, but it's very well done.
Yeah. It's not a bad movie.
The footage of them flying and stuff like that is incredible.
Yeah.
The acting is really good. It has Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's a pilot, but his face is covered the entire time.
There is this other actor in it. I don't know what his name is. He's an older actor. And he's actually in a movie I really liked called The Outfit that's on Amazon Prime.
I don't know this actor.
I couldn't tell you the guy's name off the top of my head, but he's really good in Dunkirk, but he's really, really good in the movie called The Outfit. So watch The Outfit.
Rylance?
I don't know.
Rylance?
Kind of older guy, maybe bald on top. Like
Kenneth Branagh's in this too, right? He's like the captain or the
Mark Rylance is in The Outfit, so that's who you're talking about.
Okay, Mark Rylance, The Outfit. It is very good.
Okay.
Who did you say?
Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh?
Kenneth
I
Branagh.
don't think he. I don't
No, brah.
think
What?
he is.
Kenneth Branagh is he's the captain. He's on like the deck as all the soldiers are hiding.
Well, he's not in the cast credits, so.
Am I wrong? And that's not Kenneth Branagh? I'm like, can someone type in?
Oh, he is.
Kenneth Branagh, Dunkirk.
Sorry,
Dunkirk?
he's lower. He's lower on the list.
Well, weird. Well, I mean, he's in it.
Commander Bolton, yeah.
Yeah, he's the commander, and essentially he's just trying to get the soldiers off of the bridge that they're stuck on. So, but I don't know. I mean, to be honest, this is a straightforward film with a cool editing technique of going back and forth between the timelines. But that's all it really has going for it for me, aside from the bigger set pieces. So, I don't know. I think it's a good film, but I will not say it's a great film.
I haven't seen it. I'm often bothered by the like going back in between, like back and forth between timelines.
Yeah.
Because I always have to like realign my brain and be like, okay, where are we at now?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know if I'd be.
I think Tom Hardy's
and I don't like Tom Hardy.
Well, the 3 stories, I actually think it's 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, not 1 month, but it's Tom Hardy's the 1 hour. It's basically them just up in the planes the entire time. And then the guys on the bridge are 1 day. And then the sailors are 1 week or something like that. Okay. So it's like, and Cillian Murphy's in it again too. Cillian Murphy's like, he's a soldier that loses his shit and basically is trying to get one of the civilian boats not to go back to the war.
He's credited as Shivering Soldier.
Yeah, like it's just interesting that he had some of these casts, like these actors kind of plucked for it. But I don't know. I don't have anything else to say on this movie. Amanda, do you have anything else?
Not really.
Yeah. Okay.
Then he did Tenet.
Oh, I think it's so good, and I still need to rewatch it again because I remember after I saw this movie, I sat and I researched for 4 hours the explanation of what was actually happening. Have you seen this movie yet, Amanda?
No, Tenet's the only one I haven't seen so far.
Oh my God. So, okay, do you know the synopsis? Do you know what it's about?
Not really. I knew it was some sort of like, I thought it was like espionage time travel.
So, yes. So basically, the government has figured out a way to reverse time.
Okay.
So, but to do that, you go through a portal, and once you go through the portal, everything is reversed, including your oxygen. So in our world, we breathe oxygen in, but in the reverse world, to breathe, we have to breathe in carbon dioxide and not oxygen. Does that make sense?
Sure. So in the other world, we breathe in We breathe in carbon dioxide and then we breathe out oxygen.
Oxygen. Yeah.
Okay.
So like basically the elements of everything is reversed in Tenet.
Okay.
And they're basically on a mission to go back in time and fix something that happened earlier. And they have to wear these special masks and stuff because they have to breathe different oxygen and stuff like that. So, or breathe in carbon dioxide, whatever. But that's just one element of all of the crazy shit that happens. So you actually watch stuff happen in reverse, and the character knows that things are in reverse and are going to happen to him, including like bullets that are shot. Like they design, what's it called? Reverse bullets or something like that.
Yeah.
So like they even have ammunition that combusts negatively than how normal bullets would, so that they can like shoot each other. Does that make sense? Like it's wild. Like, and so I had to rewatch this movie to find out like when is something in reverse, when is something in real time, where are the characters in that specific timeline, and like how does the ending actually affect the beginning of the movie? Like it was bonkers. It's bonkers. Imagine a movie that starts in the middle and then you get to watch the movie forward and the movie in negative reverse 2 hours each way.
But you know how like when you film something and then you reverse it, you can tell
Yes.
that it's been reversed. This is not. It's the same scenes, but like in reverse.
Yes.
But it's forward.
But
not
certain
reversed.
things are happening around him that are reversed. So basically, like there's like a battle that's happening and it's all in reverse as he's traveling forward in time during the reverse time. It's freaking okay. If Interstellar or Inception or Prestige confused you ever, Tenet will be the one movie that you're like, I have to watch that again, or I need to get a description of what I just saw, because there's a lot going on in this film. A lot.
I think part of the reason I haven't watched it is because like I just missed it when it came out, but then I haven't watched
that was
it.
2020.
I was gonna say like it's been a couple of years.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's in the middle of COVID.
Well, and you know my life has changed a lot in the last few years, but
Yeah.
So I remember being like, oh, I'll catch up to it. I'll get it.
Right.
But then there have been a couple times where I've been like, oh, I haven't watched this. I need to watch it. I think Robert Pattinson's a decent actor. I want to watch it. And I think I know I have to have like my 100%, my whole brain paying attention to this movie. Mm-hmm. And I just think that I just haven't wanted to commit to anything like that. And so like, there's a lot of movies I haven't watched because I don't want to have to pay attention.
You've got to be clear-headed in this one before you start this film. And if I'm not mistaken, Robert Pattinson is like the supporting actor. This no name.
John David Washington?
Yeah, that's not true. He might not have been a no name, but this I feel like was his first big film too. So Christopher Nolan actually goes against the grain and doesn't recast somebody he's already cast before.
Oh,
so
Michael Caine's in this movie, but
who is
Michael
Caine? Oh, okay.
I will say I don't remember the plot of the movie a whole lot except for what Andy's explained.
Yeah.
But I do remember the feeling like when you're first explained what's happening, like not a feeling of relief, but like clarity or excitement, like when you start to see everything unfold once you know what's happening.
Right.
I think it's really cool to watch.
Because I think I don't remember if it starts in the middle or if it actually does the movie and then reverses the movie.
I think this one goes back and forth.
Yeah, it might go back and forth
if I recall correctly.
But
I don't think it's the forward and then reverse though. I think there are a lot of scenes where like you recall them because they were like epic scenes, and then you start to see them in reverse and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, no, Amanda, I will highly recommend this one, but have your thinking cap on, be ready. But
yeah, I think
and
it's
visually
satisfying,
entertaining.
Yeah.
Cool set pieces, but Christopher Nolan-esque, right? He's writing it and he's like, how else can I mess with a psyche? I know he was. He was like, what can I do?
So that was his last movie that came out. Next.
Damn.
Yep.
I'm going to say, okay. So I've had this Regal thing, right? This Unlimited. And his next movie is called Oppenheimer. And I've seen the trailer several times and I can't handle it.
You don't like it?
Every single scene that they cut to is just Cillian Murphy turning his head and he doesn't say anything. It's just different scenes of like just Cillian Murphy's face.
What's the plot again?
It's
Well, it's about Oppenheimer.
It's about the guy who was instrumental in making the atomic bomb.
J. Robert Oppenheimer.
I kind of feel like this one is going to be Dunkirk all over again. I think Christopher Nolan will put a little spin on it, but I do not think this is going to have any type of original. He's going to pull from a lot of historical elements, and it's going to feel Dunkirky to me, which I won't hate. Like, I'll enjoy the film, but I want a Christopher Nolan psych bomb.
See, I'm not opposed because I like war movies, especially World War II. I find it fascinating to learn about because I hate to say it this way, horrible things happen that have to be remembered.
Sure.
And from all sides. And
now, I will say that I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, only because I want to put this on the podcast. We need to do a best of war films podcast because I think that there's a lot of movies out there that need to be seen and were very well told for World War I, II, Vietnam War, and so on. So
I will say, quickly, I think we should do it. But I think some of the better war movies, there are some that have come out in the last couple of years that are incredible.
Well, and that's why I brought it up because we got to talk about 1917. We got to talk, right? We got to
All Quiet on the Western Front. Have you watched that yet?
No,
oh my
I haven't
God.
I haven't seen that yet. So
I mean,
I think we need to do that one. And I mean, if people are not interested, but I mean,
if you're not interested, shut
no.
up.
I just mean, I think that back in the day when I was a kid, it was like, oh yeah, my uncle's in the back or watching an old war film, like
watching Platoon again.
They're watching Ken Burns documentary. Like, no, I want it to be an epic experience, and I think we should have some select films we choose that people would enjoy.
I think that
like
fine. We'll have to do it where like we each come up with like 15 movies, and I'm willing to bet some of mine are going to be interesting.
I'm willing to bet. I haven't seen half of them.
Yeah, Ash has only ever seen.
Back to Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, the Valkyrie. What?
Yeah, it's got a great cast.
Okay, talk to me. Who
Cillian
is
Murphy,
it? Yep.
Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr.,
Whoa.
Florence Pugh.
Wow,
this is a big
and
cast.
Josh Hartnett.
This is
and
a big
Gary
cast.
Oldman.
Hey, your boyfriend
Gary
and Kenneth Branagh and Rami Malek.
Damn.
Okay, it's probably going to be
Casey
good.
Affleck.
It's probably going to be really good. What's the runtime? Does it say or no?
No, it's not.
Okay.
3
it's not
hours
until July.
Oh, July. Okay.
So
Okay.
because I think the runtime usually includes like credits and whatever.
So Christopher Nolan, 1970. So he is
53.
53, which is actually a young director. Still.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy. Let's say this guy has another 25 years in the tank. We still got really good films that he could make.
I'm always curious with directors because, like, okay, his first credit was in 1989. He was 19 years old.
19 years old.
But then Memento was in the year 2000. He was 30.
Wow. It's a long skip.
Yeah, there's always that question of, like, what did they do
before honestly,
they were directors?
Sometimes they're producing stuff. Sometimes they're like, they're doing executive things on set or learning things. I don't know.
If you listen to our Guillermo del Toro episode.
Oh, yes, that's a good director episode.
We find out that he was doing like movie makeup. And stuff,
right. Practical effects stuff.
That's what he went to school for, and so that's what he was doing on set before he was a director.
Christopher Nolan.
So like that's interesting.
Did you go into his writing credits? Did you even look at those at all? I do wonder if that time gap that you're asking about, if there's writing credits during that.
No, he only has one extra credit for writing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Well, I think that Christopher Nolan's very interesting because a lot of his stuff was written by him, or at least like him and other people. But like
actually, him and his brother. So that Memento, I told you, was a short story. It was written by his brother.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so his brother assisted him on a lot of the screenplays.
I mean, they're the Nolans, super smart dudes, man. I love their writing style. I love their storytelling. It's epic. I do feel, though, that Christopher Nolan has now made a name for himself, and people are like, oh, is that a Christopher Nolan movie where I got to think about stuff? Get me out of here. Or oh, I bet you're a Christopher Nolan fan, aren't you? So, dude, he's moving in the Nickelback realm, and hopefully people take him seriously.
Well,
which
so
is kind of interesting.
I will say this: his ratings, at least on IMDb, have been like in the 7s and 8s. Most of them in the 8s.
Right.
But his last two, Dunkirk and Tenet, were 7.8 and 7.3.
So a little bit less.
Interesting.
So you're telling me that maybe he's in his slump?
Might be a trend. I don't know.
Might be in
like
a slump.
perhaps the war movies are a little bit more of a personal.
Sure.
Like he personally likes that kind of
Yeah, I can see that.
genre.
I can see
I don't
that.
know. He might do more of those. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, he may have had enough success at this point where he's like, I'm doing what I want to do.
Well, and some directors are like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Some of them just move on to like, I'm just going to do like the stuff that I have wanted to that studios won't give me money
Exactly.
for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, and I think that he's also at a point in his career where he hasn't made flops, because even the ones that like had
Sure.
7 point whatevers
Yeah.
were still successful. So
right,
Yeah.
these aren't doinkers.
no, they're not.
Stop making it realistic.
So I think that, he's kind of at this interesting point in his career where even though he's had 2 movies that weren't top tier, huge blowout movies,
Yeah.
he's still making good movies. And
Yeah.
so I think that until he really does something bad, I think he'll be able to continue to make good movies.
Yeah. Nothing's
Yeah.
bombed yet.
No.
Yeah.
But every director has a really bad flop. It will happen. It
Sure.
will happen.
You think he's going to go M. Night Shyamalan?
I don't think it would go M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, to be honest, has James Cameron had a really bad movie? Was there one that came out that was like a doinker? Because
I guess we're going to have to find out.
Yeah, we should do a James Cameron director. Also, Amanda, if people want to hear a director street cred, what can they do to do that?
Yeah, so
If you want to say
that was-
something really
that was a
not
bad
clearly, how
segue.
would I say such a thing?
this was a really good segue. So basically, head over to our Instagram at Real Awkward Podcast. You can slide into our DMs and let us know if there's a director, an actor, actress, whatever, gross, that we should do
Yep.
an episode of Street Cred about. But you have to do it a special way or else we won't pay attention to it. You have to write it down on a piece of paper, take a picture of it, and then send us that.
Fair.
We did have someone guess that our next Chris in the Chris lineup would be Chris Rock. It's just FYI.
Oh, well,
Interesting.
guess we'll see. Guess we'll see. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we won't.
Has he done that many movies?
I don't know. I
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe
guess
we
we'll
won't.
find out. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Real Awkward Podcast. If you like Christopher Nolan, let us know. If you don't, piss off.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.